In the opening weeks of 2025, a silent execution took place in the heart of global finance. The world's central banks did something that the mainstream media is absolutely terrified to mention. They completed a coordinated lightning-fast exit from the entire American financial system while you were sleeping. To understand the scale, $3.5 trillion is larger than the entire productive economy of India. It is larger than the combined wealth of the United Kingdom and France. It is enough capital to buy Apple, Microsoft, and Nvidia combined, and then some. $3.5 trillion in US assets were offloaded in total coordinated silence. This wasn't just a simple adjustment or a routine sell off, it was the opening move in a declaration of global financial war, and the primary weapon being used is your own dollar. They didn't use public exchanges. They moved like ghosts through dark pools, shell companies, and back channels that most people don't even know exist. China has spent 15 years preparing for this exact moment, the moment of a final and permanent financial divorce from the West. If you are holding dollars in a bank account today, you are the one left holding the bag. The mainstream news is too busy distracting you with political theater and celebrity gossip, while in the quiet rooms where real power is exercised, the foundation is being pulled out. For 50 years, the US dollar was the undisputed king of the world. That era was born in 1971, when we took the dollar off gold and tied it to oil. It gave America an economic privilege that no empire in human history has ever possessed before. We could print money out of thin air to pay for our standard of living, our wars, and our debts. While every other nation had to produce real goods and services to earn those same dollars, we just clicked a button and created them out of nothing. But that privilege was built on a single invisible pillar. Trust. Trust that the dollar would remain a neutral store of value. Trust that America would not abuse its power as the world's central banker. Over the last 2 decades, that trust has been systematically destroyed. History is the most powerful teacher we have, but only for those willing to listen to its echoes. In November 1956, the British Empire believed they were still the masters of the global economy. Their currency, the pound sterling, had dominated global trade for over a century. Just like the dollar today, we could print money out of thin air to pay for our standard of living, our wars, and our debts. While every other nation had to produce real goods and services to earn those same dollars, we just clicked a button and created them out of nothing. But that privilege was built on a single invisible pillar: trust. Trust that the dollar would remain a neutral store of value. Trust that America would not abuse its power as the world's central banker. Over the last 2 decades, that trust has been systematically destroyed. We weaponized the dollar system, using it to sanction countries we didn't like, freezing their assets and cutting them off from trade. We proved to the world that the dollar isn't a neutral currency. It is a tool and a weapon of American foreign policy. China has been watching, learning, and planning. They realize that if the US can freeze Russia's reserves, they can do it to anyone. So they began the Great Pivot, a systematic rejection of the greenback, and the construction of an alternative world backed by gold. History is the most powerful teacher we have, but only for those willing to listen to its echoes. In November 1956, the British Empire believed they were still the masters of the global economy. Their currency, the pound sterling, had dominated global trade for over a century, just like the dollar today. But during the Suez Crisis, Britain made a fatal mistake that revealed their hidden weakness. They overextended their military, while their economy was drowning in debt. The United States didn't send an army to stop them. They delivered a simple ultimatum through a single devastating phone call. President Eisenhower threatened to dump every British pound the US government owned and collapse the UK economy overnight. Britain, the greatest empire the world had ever seen, surrendered in just 11 days. Their global dominance ended not with a war, but with a coordinated currency sell-off. Today, the United States is in the exact same trap Britain was in back then. We have over $35 trillion in national debt, and a military presence in over 80 countries that we can no longer truly afford. We are policing the world with a credit card that our creditors are finally cutting up. China isn't just selling our debt, they are building an entire alternative world. They have spent the last 10 years forming deep alliances with the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, and South Africa. These countries represent 40% of the world's population and a growing share of global GDP. In late 2023, the alliance expanded to include the biggest oil producers on the planet, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Iran. Think about the gravity of that moment. Saudi Arabia, the very country that made the petrodollar system possible, is now joining an alliance explicitly designed to bypass the dollar. While we have been printing paper and running up debt, China has been quietly accumulating the only form of money that has survived for 5,000 years. Gold official numbers say they hold 2,000 tons, but independent analysts estimate it could be as high as 30,000 tons. Why does this matter? Because gold is the ultimate insurance policy against currency failure. If China backs their currency with gold, even partially, it becomes a credible alternative to a dollar backed by nothing but debt. Every country holding paper dollars will suddenly start rushing for the exits. This is the endgame. This is what the $3.5 trillion exodus is preparing for. China is exiting the system before they announce the new one. They are selling while dollars still have value before the panic begins. And when other countries realize what's happening, they will follow the leader. Let me paint you a picture of what happens next when the dollar loses its status. Interest rates in America will skyrocket. Right now, we can borrow money cheaply because the world needs our debt. But when that demand disappears, the government will have to offer 15% interest just to attract buyers. What does that mean for you? Your mortgage rate could double or triple, making housing unaffordable for an entire generation. Your car loan payments will explode. Credit card rates could hit 40%. Borrowing money will become prohibitively expensive, and the entire economy will begin to seize up. Second, inflation will go into overdrive. When other countries don't need dollars anymore, all those trillions of dollars held overseas will come flooding back to America. It's called reverse currency flow. Suddenly, you have a tidal wave of paper chasing a limited amount of food and gas. America's standard of living will plummet because we can no longer import cheap goods from overseas, no more inexpensive electronics from China, no more affordable produce from Mexico. Everything will cost dramatically more, while wages stagnate or fall in real terms. This is the death of the middle class. Some of you might think this sounds too extreme. Surely the government will stop it, but the process is already in motion, and there is very little they can do. China has already built the infrastructure. They have the gold, they have the alliances, and they have the economic leverage to win. Just like the British pound lost its status to the dollar in the 20th century, the dollar is losing its status to a multipolar system in the 21st. It is a natural cycle, and once it starts, it cannot be stopped. The most terrifying part is the timeline. This isn't something that will happen in 30 years, based on the acceleration we are seeing. I believe we are looking at a 2 to 5 year window before we hit the critical tipping point. Most Americans have no idea this is even happening. The wealthy and the connected already know. They've already moved their money. They've already bought hard assets. They've already diversified internationally. They are positioned to profit from this crisis, while regular people get destroyed. But now, you have the same information they do. Every financial collapse in history follows the same mathematical rhythm. Wall Street and the Federal Reserve study these patterns religiously. They know when the ship is sinking, months or even years before the general public is ever told. But they need you to stay invested. They need you to stay in the market to provide them with the exit liquidity they need. We are currently in the final, most dangerous stages of a 100-year debt cycle. Stage 1 was the credit explosion, where debt became the only engine of our growth. We have borrowed more from the future than the present can ever hope to repay. Stage 2 is the concentration trap, where all the risk is hidden in one place. Right now, just 7 tech companies carry the weight of the entire American stock market. If the AI bubble or the tech narrative cracks, the entire system vanishes. Stage 3 is the smart money exit, and it is happening right now in real time. The world's billionaires and CEOs are selling their personal stock at a record-breaking and terrifying pace. They aren't investing for the long term anymore. They are moving into hard safety. Stage 4 is the liquidity illusion, the deceptive calm before the tsunami hits. Everything looks normal until the very moment that the buyers simply disappear, leaving the market in freefall. All we are waiting for now is Stage 5, the trigger, The trigger could be a failed bond auction, a bank run, or a sudden crisis in the Far East. But the trigger doesn't actually matter when the house is already soaked in gasoline and the exits are blocked. The wealthy have already moved their wealth into things that cannot be printed by a government decree. To survive this massive wealth transfer, you must change your definition of safety. Rule 1: cash is no longer a store of value, it is a liability. Rule 2: you must own the anti-dollar assets with a fixed and finite supply. Physical gold and silver are the only assets that have never gone to zero in 5,000 years, if the digital grid ever flickers. The metal in your hand is your only leverage. Protecting your family's future is the most responsible and patriotic thing you can do. The window to move your capital is closing faster than you can imagine. The smart money has already left the building. The question you must ask yourself is, why haven't you? We are moving beyond a simple crash. We are witnessing the birth of a multipolar world. For the first time in centuries, the West is no longer the sole architect of the global financial system. The digital Iron Curtain is falling, separating the world into two distinct economic spheres with two different rules. On one side, you have the old system, built on debt, paper promises, and endless money printing. On the other side, you have the rising East, led by China and the BRICS nations, building a system anchored by tangible commodities like gold, oil, and rare earth minerals that the world actually needs. The transition will be chaotic, and the G-7 nations are caught in a massive debt trap. They cannot raise interest rates high enough to stop inflation without crashing their own governments, and they cannot keep rates low without destroying the value of their currency. They are out of moves, and they know it. This is why the wealthy are no longer just buying gold. They are buying jurisdictional safety. They are moving their legal residences to places like Singapore, Switzerland, and the UAE. They are diversifying their lives just as much as their portfolios, ensuring that no single government can ever freeze their entire existence. You must begin to think like a global citizen, even if you never leave your hometown. Having all your assets in one country, denominated in one currency, and controlled by one banking system is no longer a safe strategy. It is a single point of failure that is currently being targeted by the greatest financial move in history. Consider opening an international brokerage account or holding physical assets in private vaults outside the traditional banking system. This isn't about being unpatriotic, it is about basic financial hygiene. When the dollar system resets, those who have spread their risk across different regions will be the ones who remain standing. At the local level, the return to a barter-friendly mindset is essential in every historical currency collapse. From Rome to Weimar Germany, the people who survived were those with tangible skills and strong local communities. Your neighbor's trust will eventually be worth more than the digital numbers. The $3.5 trillion exodus is the signal that the smart money has already moved into the lifeboats. They have left the burning building, and they are now watching from a safe distance. The mainstream media is paid to keep you in the building until the very last moment to ensure the elites get their exit. Do not be the exit liquidity for a dying system. The 5-stage pattern is nearly complete, and stage 5, the trigger, is imminent. It could happen tomorrow, or it could take another year. But the direction is inevitable, and the outcome is mathematical. You cannot argue with the laws of economics. Take a deep breath and look at the data objectively. The dollar has lost 98% of its purchasing power since 1913. The current trend isn't new. It is simply accelerating to its final conclusion. Preparing for this reality is the only way to ensure that your family's hard-earned wealth isn't wiped out in an afternoon. Start this week. Buy that first ounce of silver, move that 5% into Bitcoin, find a local farmer, and learn a skill that doesn't require an internet connection. These small steps taken today will be the difference between panic and peace when the global financial reset finally takes center stage. We are living through a historic turning point, a passing of the torch that only happens once every 100 years. You have been given the warning, you have been shown the pattern, and you now have the playbook. The rest, as it always has been, is entirely up to you. We are living through a historic turning point, a passing of the torch that only happens once every 100 years. You have been given the warning, you have been shown the pattern, and you now have the playbook. The rest, as it always has been, is entirely up to you. The time for theory is over. The time for action is now. Your financial fortress is built one decision at a time, and the most important decision is to stop trusting a system that was built to benefit everyone except you. Stay alert, stay focused, and most importantly, stay prepared. The era of the dollar is over. The era of preparation has officially begun. Subscribe to stay on the right side of history, and I will see you in the next one. Stay alert, stay prepared.